Things didn't work out that way.
Joining me now is Texas Congressman August Pfluger. He represents the oil-rich Permian Basin in Texas. Congressman, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I know that experts are saying that Texas could be poised to decide U.S. gasoline prices as Venezuelan oil starts to hit the market. But you've got bigger concerns because as more oil hits the market and prices go down, you're concerned that oil companies are going to pull back on their investment. They're not making the same amount of money at $50 a barrel oil. Tell us about your concerns.
Well, Maria, thanks for having me. And a couple of things for this. First off, I'm so glad that President Trump is meeting with these experts, and I know they're going to have a good discussion. Energy is the foundation for everything in our economy. Yes, we want low prices, but if they're driven too low, it's really about jobs. It's not about profits. It's about jobs, and we could lose those jobs. Right now, we're in a position to remain energy dominant. The president was right to extract Maduro, who is a narco-terrorist. And by the way, the Maduro regime stole and expropriated assets from U.S. companies. They should pay that back. Those U.S. companies should be able to regain what was rightfully theirs. Number two, I think that the Venezuelan barrels of oil right now, some of the tankers that have been seized and what President Trump has done should be used to refill our strategic petroleum reserve at a discounted rate. They stole our assets. Let's refill the reserve. By the way, Biden completely drained our reserve for political reasons. Over 300 million barrels still remain to be filled. Let's fill that up at a discounted rate right now. When it comes to U.S. production, I am America first for U.S. production. Let's keep that sustainable. And yes, a low price is good. We're currently sitting in the upper 50s. That's about right. The mid 60s is about where you can continue to produce American oil. If we go further down, then we run the risk. And actually, I would say it's very likely that we will start laying rigs down and we won't be able to produce America first oil, which we want to do.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I asked Mike Wirth about it, the CEO of Chevron, and he said, oh, no, we are long-term investors, but you have to wonder when you're talking about $50, they're breaking $50, whether or not they are going to invest in these long-term projects if they're not going to be making the money that they expected. The band that we talked about when I saw you in the Permian Basin was what? 65 to 85 is sort of like the sweet spot. That's what oil companies want. That's not what consumers want. And given the fact that it's a midterm election year, don't you think President Trump is going to lean toward getting oil prices down as much as possible so that gasoline prices are not a heavy lift for consumers?
Well, Maria, you're right. That band is 65 to 85, and I would argue that the diminishing returns don't get much better below that price. I mean, at $65, you can continue to drill. Let's remember, this isn't your old, 40 years ago oil field where you drill vertically. These are horizontal wells. They're shale rock. The wells that are drilled, as you saw when you visited, diminish within a year. So you have to drill another one in order to keep the production flat. So that band that we talked about that you saw is actually what consumers want because it prevents the cyclical boom and bust nature of this business from happening. It keeps it sustainable. Gas prices do remain low. I mean, we're down 20%. Let's stay right where we are because then that allows those jobs to continue. It allows gas and groceries to be low, but it allows U.S. production to continue to be dominant, and we don't have to depend on other countries. If you go much lower, then we do run the risk of not producing here. And that's at the end of the day, when President Trump said, drill, baby, drill, this is what we're talking about. So he has identified that everything is more expensive. That was the Biden house of cards. Oil underpins everything. Energy underpins everything. And U.S. production needs to remain high.
So how does the Venezuelan situation impact your goals and what the president is trying to do in terms of drill, baby, drill?
Well, the president has the right idea. Let's use that oil right now at a discounted rate. What Maduro stole from U.S. companies, let's make them whole and give them what is rightfully theirs, what was stolen and expropriated from them. Let's refill the SPR. And what Secretary Wright said is correct. The refineries on the Gulf Coast are tooled for the specific product that's coming out of Venezuela. They produce about 800,000 barrels a day. We'll keep it right there. U.S. companies have expertise. They're no stranger to that area. Let's keep that flowing into the market. But now it's not sanctioned and it's not in the hands of a narco-terrorist who is literally trying to kill hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world with deadly drugs. So the president was brilliant in this move, but I say we fill up the SPR immediately.
Yeah, that's a great point. Congressman, I also spoke to the energy secretary about Russia, China, Iran, and their interest in Venezuela, how the administration is putting the U.S. first. Here's what he said about that. Watch.
Look at who Venezuela's main partners have been the last 5 or 10 years. Russia, Iran, and China in the Western Hemisphere. That's a sign that maybe things aren't going well. Iran and Russia, are bordering on criminal organizations. China is a little bit of a mix. China is different. It is an economic powerhouse. It's a major oil consumer. It can be a constructive partner with the United States, or it can be a force to undermine the United States, as I think is the case in Venezuela. But I think you will probably see some long-term involvement of China in Venezuela. As long as that's America's the dominant force there, the rule of law is there, the United States controls oil flow, that'll be fine. We don't want Iranian, other terrorist organizations, and Russians playing a major role in Venezuela. But is there a balance that can be had with China? I think there is.
So, the administration's walking this balance on China, Congressman. Your reaction?
Well, the secretary is right. I mean, these countries, malign countries, Russia, China, and Iran, were all vying for control over Venezuelan assets. And, I think that's the brilliance of what President Trump is doing geopolitically and keeping that flow above board and not on these dark tankers that you don't know where they're going. And the money is obviously going into the hands of malign interest is very, very important. Secondly, I would say what he's setting up is a system where we can continue to have strong American production and companies who have the values, Western values, that are aligned with ours. So I think, again, the president made a very good move. Not only did he bring a narco-terrorist to justice, but he also freed the Western Hemisphere from being controlled by our greatest enemy, which is the Chinese Communist Party.
Meanwhile, the flames are filling the streets of Tehran right now. Protesters intensifying across Iran. Protesters are burning cars, government buildings in the capital city. While the Iranian regime is trying to crack down, the Ayatollah addressed the protests this morning, and he cut off all internet access yesterday. He's refusing to back down, even though there were reports that he could actually flee to Russia if this doesn't stop. He's accusing President Trump of sabotaging him, telling him to focus on your own country. Congressman, what's your reaction as we watch Iran, potentially the regime, on the verge of collapse here? How does that change the game?
Well, this is a long time coming. I mean, it goes back to the Arab Spring and the courage for the Iranian people to go to the streets, to protest, and to do the things that they're doing, really has been stimulated by President Trump's move to have accountability everywhere. Accountability in our own country, accountability with countries like Iran, where he struck their nuclear capability and dismantled that. We've been waiting for that for several administrations. So, proud of the Iranian people who have been kept in darkness, and, they have no free speech rights there. And maybe this is their moment where they can overcome a dictator who has been a horrible just leader in that country that has kept that country from, really realizing its strength and has become the largest terrorist, the state sponsor of terrorism around the world. So we're going to see what happens. But the president definitely, has sparked interest around the world for freedom.
So what do you want to see here in terms of energy policy, broadly speaking? What are your expectations? And what are you seeing in the Permian Basin right now in terms of the impact on economic growth, Congressman?
Well, I represent the most important area, the largest secure supply of oil and gas, and we have to make sure that is central to the United States energy policy. We have to make sure that onshore shale production remains the strong, dominant piece of our energy policy. So it starts there. which means that let's keep a good, sustainable, low-price, affordable energy policy going. Let's keep the jobs strong. And let's keep that energy flowing not only to us, but around the world. And there's so many people around the world, so many allies and so many partners that want our product, that want that associated natural gas that comes with the production of oil out of the Permian Basin or out of the Marcellus, out of the Bakken and other areas. Onshore production needs to remain strong, but we need to have the ability to keep that price where we keep the jobs. When we push it down, it might be a sugar rush to have that low price, but let's keep it sustainable. I'm worried about today, but I'm also worried about next year and the year after. And we've got a chance here to have a really strong economy for the next decade.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much. August Pfluger joining us in Midland.